And welcome. It is Sideline Sports Wednesday night. And after this, take a peek at our brand new show, Sports Business Insider, with myself and former MLB and NFL agent Sean Russey. This right after this at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But for now, this is episode 2 of the third season of Cubfidential. Didn't think we last as long, did you? But hey, we are here. I'm producer Denzel Snipes. We got a loaded show for you guys. Cubs are playing some pretty good ball. We'll see how long they keep it up. But without further ado, the Chicago Crusader himself, JB Ellis. Come on in.
I almost was going to ask you what show we're doing because you're telling us about the next show. You forgot about how great Cubfidential is, but the next show is pretty late. We got Sean Russi, who's phenomenal. You'll love that show. He's an agent, represents some good guys, and gives you some great insight on the business side of sports. I watch and I learn a lot from it, but enough about business. Let's talk about real business. The show that's going to be around as long as Wrigley Field, Cubfidential. So, pretty good week for the Cubs. A couple of missteps here or there, but not bad. Let's bring Jay on and let's talk about the Rocky series, where I don't know. They could play the Rockies 162 times. That might be like 130 and 32.
Yeah, you got that right. Yeah. I mean, obviously they swept the Rockies, had a good series at home. Outscored the Rockies 26-10. You know, so yeah, they it was a good series at home. 5-1, homestand.
Yeah,
So that's
no,
good.
phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, the first game, it's always good to start with a shutout. Uh, and Monaga, I know I'm butchering his name. I'll get it
Yeah.
eventually. He just
Yeah.
got here. Couple of starts. Listen, how long did it take me to get Dave DeRocher's name right? So Shota, just relax. I got you. You'll be known as just Shota for now. And if
There
that's
you
not
go.
right, I don't know what to tell you. But nice to start out with a shutout, 5-0. Um, you know, and when you look at that, you had five runs, 9 hits. What were you to start the series? What impressed you with that game?
Obviously, I'm going to try and pronounce his name, Eminaga. He went 6 innings, only gave up 2 hits, 9 Ks. So that was a good start for him. Obviously, I think as the season progresses, he'll go a little bit deeper into the games. But, yeah, I mean, the first game, win 5-0. They had 9 hits, 3 walks. I think it's the Cubs are like in second as far as walks per game, and as far as like striking out, I think they're in the top 2 right now with the least amount of strikeouts per game. So,
Yeah, looking at the box score, that was something that jumped out at me. 4 strikeouts for the whole first game.
yeah,
You look at MLB right now, 27 outs, you only strike out 4 times. That's impressive the way
yeah,
MLB is structured at the moment.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely,
so,
yeah,
and then the bullpen, Almonte and Smiley closing the game out for the last 3 innings, not giving up any runs. Great start to the series. When you start and you win game 1, what happens in game 2 usually?
yeah. You keep the momentum going, and that's exactly what they did. They scored 12 runs. Um, you know, uh, let's see, Suzuki had 2 RBIs, a home run. Bellinger, same thing, 2 RBIs, a home run. Uh, Cooper and Morel each went yards, so it's a good start. They had 14 hits, and again, they had 7 walks in that game. So, they're making the pitchers work, so that's a good thing.
And I mean, you have Chris Bryant playing on the other side. Obviously, a lot of Cub fans still love him. He's batting 114. And, you think back a couple of years back how hard everybody was on the front office, and you see how Bryant's performing, Baez is performing, and you start to say maybe they do something. Maybe that they weren't as off as we thought they were.
Yeah, I think they had a crystal ball on that one, man. Obviously Chris Bryant's been struggling since he came to the Rockies with injuries. Baez is just not the same player as he was when he was with the Cubs as he is in Detroit. Um, I guess they knew what they were doing. I mean, obviously, with them winning the World Series, in 2016, everybody wants to, try and keep the team together, but most people don't realize the business side to it. So yeah, I think it was a good decision. I feel bad for Bryant right now. I saw the interview the other day where, he's receiving death threats and things like that. So that's never good. No
Yeah,
one ever,
no
no
reason
one.
for any of that.
Yeah, absolutely not. So
And what's your thoughts on Assad, who started the second game? He's had two good outings so far. In that game against Colorado, didn't give up any earned runs and 5 strikeouts in 6 innings. What's your thoughts on him?
yeah, I think Assad's been like honestly a surprise to me. He's been going pretty much like 5, 6 innings each start. Hasn't given up a lot of walks. The strikeouts are up there, so he's been performing really well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like what I've seen so far. He's been doing really well. Um, and John Shear, you were completely wrong. We don't know anything about any Oreos. Birds play football. They don't play baseball. Baseball's made up of animals like Cubs and Tigers and, Northerners like Yankees, no Oreos. Then the third game was a slugfest. The Cubs tried to give it away in the eighth. They ended up winning 9-8. That'll happen sometimes. They've had their struggles, it seems, with big leads so far this year. What did you take out of the closing game there?
Yeah, I mean, again, like the bats were hot. They had 10 hits, 7 walks. Um, Suzuki had 4 RBIs and a home run, so he stayed hot during that series. Uh, you know, uh, the downfall is the Cubs bullpen. They gave up 7 runs, in that game, and kept the Rockies in that game. So, I think I mentioned it last episode. I don't think the Cubs hitting or scoring is going to be a problem. I think it's going to be the pitching and the bullpen. So,
What
and
was your thoughts? What's your early season thoughts on Seiya Suzuki?
Seiya Suzuki, man, I think he's really come into like not necessarily his role, but he's gotten familiar with the American game. It's a little bit different than Japan or whatever. And I think it took him a while to get adjusted. So, and I think he's adjusted really well.
Yeah, no, he's hitting 326. He's doing everything. And,
Yeah,
great outfielder. Gotta love it. And then, then comes the weekend series. You got the big bad Dodgers coming in. We said last week if we win 1 out of 3, it's a win.
yeah,
They took
yeah,
2 out of 3 and, convincingly won a couple of them.
yeah,
So they started Friday night, which was, when you win the first game of the series, you're already in a great spot because now if you could just win one more, you win the series.
yeah,
9-7 win. Smiley gets his first win of the season with 2 2 2/3, gives up a couple of runs.
yeah.
Um, but once again, that big lead that they're almost giving back.
Right.
What did you take out of the opener?
Yeah, the Cubs win the opener 9-7. Wicks went like I think he went 4 2/3, gave up 6 hits. Base on ball. So, um, you know, I was impressed. Actually, for them to take 2 out of 3 out of the Dodgers. Pretty much. They built themselves an all-star team. So
Yeah, I mean, seeing Otani come to Wrigley as part of the Dodgers, I know the Cubs wanted to try and sign him. I know that they were hoping Seiya would be able to recruit him a little bit. Didn't
right.
work out. The Dodgers have more money than the Cubs. Dodgers have
Yeah.
more money than probably almost every team in baseball except for maybe the Yankees, and that's debatable. Um, but they held their own against the an all-star team, and that's what the Dodgers are. When you look at their lineup, you have Betts, Otani, Freeman, Muncy, and Lux, who are all phenomenal players.
Yeah.
Uh, and they win that first game 9-7. They lose the Saturday game 4-1. Um, Dodgers had Yamamoto on the mound through 5 shutout innings. against Wicks. What were your thoughts on Wicks in that game?
Wicks was phenomenal. He's been phenomenal this year. I think he leads the team in strikeouts right now. I believe the last time I looked, it was like 13. So he's been, like I said, he's been impressive, along with Assad, and Imanaga has been great. So those three guys have been, I think, been carrying the rotation right now. So,
Yeah,
but
when you
yeah,
look at
I've been impressed with Wicks.
Yamamoto, he had 8 strikeouts. The Cubs struck out 15 times in that game. They haven't really done that much this year. They've been really good putting the bat on the ball.
Yeah.
What do you think was frustrating them with Yamamoto and the rest of the Dodger pitching that game?
I think I can't even pronounce his name, Yamamata. His breaking ball and his curveball. His curveball is like absolutely nasty. I watched a little bit of that game, and like every time the Cubs struck out, it was like pretty much on a curveball or breaking ball.
Yeah.
And yeah, his stuff is just phenomenal.
And then you go to the finale Sunday. It was a long rain delay. The Cubs end up winning 8-1. Bellinger had a big hit there, and when you see the team close out a series like that, when you have that rain delay, how does that affect the home team?
Yeah, I think obviously the weather plays a huge deal in it. There, playing in the rain is rough. The ball's slippery, the ball's slick. Um, you get warmed up a little bit, and all of a sudden you get in a rain delay, you get cold, you need to warm up again. Kind of that kind of deal. So, um, I think it's a struggle to get back into the game when you have a rain delay that long.
And it also hurt the Cubs. They had Imanaga pitching. He went the first 4 innings. He was cruising along, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, and then you have that long rain delay, so you got to pull him out. And you have a trio of relievers that come in, only give up 1 run in the rest of the 5 innings.
Yeah.
Who was your player of the series for the Cubs that against the Dodgers?
Well, that's a tough one. I would have to go with, to be honest with you, Hap has been like super hot right now. I think he leads the Cubs in like almost every offensive category right now. So I didn't follow too much of the numbers wise as far as the series go, but Hap's been on a tear right now. Horner's been showing, the glove. He's had some amazing plays at second base, but obviously his bat's a little bit cold right now. So hopefully he warms up soon.
Well, that's awesome, Jay. We appreciate your time. We'll see you next week. But great work, and hopefully we get some more good stuff to talk about.
So
Five out of 6 of the games we spoke about with you.
yeah,
Keep that
yeah,
up.
yeah. Sounds good, man.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
Yep.
All right. So next we have someone that's returning. If you don't know who Ti is, I don't know what to tell you. Pay attention because you're about to learn. He's gonna school you on the Cubs. So let's bring Ti in. Tyler, how you been, man? Can't hear you. You're muted.
Oh, what's up? How you doing, JB?
Good. How you been?
I'm good. Yeah, good. Just doing the girl dad thing.
Doing a good job so far.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
She's adorable.
I appreciate it. Yeah, she's my pride and joy. She'll be 2 next month on this day, on
Wow.
May 10th. So crazy how
It's
time flies.
amazing. It really does. So we got you back. Let's talk about this Cubs for you. Well, first of all, this Cubs for you for being back because you're a huge part of everything that's good with the Cubs. But let's talk about Christopher Morel with his grand slam against the Padres and the 5-1 win the other day.
Yeah, I think it was super important to get out like that yesterday, especially after blowing that 8-0 lead the night before. So it was huge. It was such a nice pop. I actually saw like a lot of fan reaction videos to it too on social media, which is super cool. Christopher Morale, man. See, this is I talk about all the time, and if we get get there this year. Let's say we get there this year, but Christopher Morel brings an interesting pop to his bat that I think could be huge down the stretch of the season if they're making a postseason push this year. I've always thought that. He shows up in the biggest moments. I love Christopher Morel's game, and that was definitely a huge, fucking huge grand slam.
Listen, I definitely get it. I mean, he's young, he's exciting. He brings something to the team that, it's just that youthful exuberance, and you got to love it. Um, I can't wait. I hope he has a great year and he's just exciting to watch. Um, Looking at the standings right now, the Cubs are 7-4, game and a half behind the Pirates. And then they got an upcoming series at Seattle. You think the Cubs could take 2 out of 3 from them?
Yeah, I do. I actually don't. I haven't been very impressed with Seattle. No shame to them. I know they can. I know it's early in the year, and the Cubs are. Yeah, they're a game and a half back of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh started hot last year too, though. This is kind of the MO with the Pittsburgh Pirates. They start off real hot. They usually kind of cool down. Seattle's still trying to kind of figure things out. Their whole thing was, people were saying Julio Rodriguez is going to have an MVP season, and they have one of the best starting rotations in baseball. It looks like they're all off to a kind of a cold start, while the Cubs are really picking up their bats right now. So I actually think this really favors us. I definitely think we can get 2 out of 3 against the Mariners.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, going back to looking at what the Cubs do, they play really good against good teams. Seattle is projected to be a decent team, so I expect them to play well. And like you said, you hit it dead on the nail. The Pirates last year, they were first place until we swept them, if you remember.
Yeah, yeah,
So, I was looking at the standings the other day. I'm like, wow, this is like deja vu. But I think the difference this year is we just have a much better manager. Things are more consistent. The lineup has pretty much been consistent. Guys know their job, know their role, and I think they're just a little bit more confident with what he brings to the team.
I
Um,
agree. I agree.
so let's look at what's happening outside of Wrigley. Um, so the MLBPA is blaming the pitch clock for the recent rise in injuries among pitchers. Do you agree with that or disagree?
I disagree. I don't think that's necessarily what's going on here. I think people that have watched baseball for a long time know that these kind of things just happen. I think anytime like a series of injuries happens, we all want to like pinpoint what's going on, why it's happening. I think this is kind of like a lot of like so like when they first did the pitch clock, I was really against it. Being like a baseball freak. I played baseball in high school. Definitely have always baseball's been my favorite sport. So I was against it when the pitch clock first came out. I was like, oh, let's not ruin baseball. Well, then last year you see the spike in the numbers. You see how many more people are getting interested in it. And I thought, looking at the bigger picture, this is good for baseball. Tyler, put your pride aside on this. You want more people to be watching baseball. You want more people to be talking about it because that makes it exciting. I think in the beginning of the season, these injuries have kind of just piled up and they've kind of just happened. But I actually do not blame the pitch clock because people are familiar with how the pitch clock worked last year. I just think this is the first time that we've seen so many injuries happen in the beginning of the season, but we didn't have this issue last year. So I think it's just kind of a coincidence thing. And unfortunately with baseball, that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, so you've come around on the pitch clock. You're okay with it?
I'm okay with it now. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
I don't know. I still can't wrap my head around it. I don't like it. I covered the Angels game on Sunday, and it's I'm just not a fan. I get that, you try to keep the game moving,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's just unnatural. I don't think it has anything to do with the injuries. I'm not going to go with the MLBPA on this one, but it just doesn't feel like baseball that,
I
this is what
know,
we're doing.
but JB, you and me are used to baseball, watching baseball back in 10 years ago, and we're watching it in our prime. But like now we look at it, and you got to look at like I look at it as the ratings too. The ratings went up. They went up from the year prior when we didn't have the pitch clock to last year when they did. So I'm just looking at it from like the bigger picture for baseball. I've gotten used to it. And I think that's where I'm at with it. I don't love it. Like I said, I was against it when it first came out. I've gotten used to it because I'm seeing, all the new fans that are coming in. And I think that's important. I think that's the main thing that we got to look at.
Okay. I mean, I definitely understand and I get it. I just not a fan.
Yeah.
There's sometimes it's one of those things where I think that there's better ways to go about it. You coach the pitchers to pitch quicker. You know, I mean, to me, it just seems arbitrary.
I feel
But
like I feel like not just baseball though. Like we are doing this with, I mean, every sport. We look at the NBA changes, we look at the NFL changes. This is just the world we live in. Unfortunately, JB, this is the world we live in now. Changes are always happening. So
that's for sure. So let's go to our hot tub time machine. 2016 World Series Game 7. David Ross's final career hit goes over the wall. The Cubs win 8-7 in 10 innings and win the World Series 4-3. First of all, let me say, as much as I bash David Ross as a manager, as a player, completely different. When you're a manager, you have to take the heat. You can take it as a player as well, but as a player, I didn't feel I needed to bring heat to him. But as a manager, that's different. So, but this was a great moment. Tell us about it, Tyler.
oh, huge for me. I know, Jay, and a lot of people know that, like, I went to high school in Ohio, so like in Canton, Ohio, I went to high school there. So like during this World Series was like, I was born and raised in Illinois, but then I went to high school in Ohio, parents divorced, whatever. So I had all kinds of people at my neck about this. I had a lot of family at home that were all rooting for the Cubs, but I also had a lot of friends that were Cleveland Indian fans at the time. I know it's the Guardians now, but Cleveland Indian fans. This was such a huge series for me, especially the fact that the Cubs came back 3-1 in this series. I think when the last two being in Cleveland, even when the Cubs got one and it went Game 6, I think people thought, there's surely Cleveland isn't going to blow Game 6 and Game 7 at home. And then Game 7 happens, and David Ross was looked up through this whole postseason as a mentor. They were all calling him, Papa Rossi, Grandpa Rossi, because he was the oldest guy on the team, especially with like guys like Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, the young guns at the time. So this was such a cool moment. We knew David Ross was going to retire. We knew he was on the kind of going on the twilight end of his career. So to show up and hit this home run in Game 7 of the World Series on the road, it's the biggest moment of David Ross's, career. And I'm with you. I definitely, definitely, as a Cubs fan, can be a critic of him the way he managed the Cubs. But as a player, there's nothing better that you could ask for from David Ross. He was a mentor to this team. He gave a spark to this team, and he still had a pop on his bat towards the end of his career. So, love David Ross as a player.
Yeah, he was definitely a leader as a player, and as a manager, I don't think he was a bad manager. I just think his style didn't work for the team he had.
Poor decision maker for what we had
Yeah,
as a team. Yeah, poor decision maker is
exactly.
what I would say.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up with Cub or Dud. Shota Imanaga will have
Now,
10 plus wins this season.
Imanga.
Imanga.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Shota. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it. I'm gonna call
You want to know what I call him, JB, to make it easier? Because his nickname, when he was overseas playing, everyone called him Showtime, so I just call him Showtime. That's what I
All
do.
right, that works. I
Yeah.
like it. Listen, like I said, I messed up Dave DeRocher's name for months. I butchered it. it became an ongoing gag. So I'm just going to go with it until we get Showtime's name right. We're just going to have some fun with it.
It's honestly really confusing. You watch the announcers and they say Imanega, and then when I watched like the Japanese translators say it, they say Imenga. So I get confused too. I'm calling him Showtime. That's what I'm rolling with.
So what do you think? You think he gets 10 wins this year?
I do. I'm really, really impressed with him. I'm because it's not just the strikeouts that he can make happen and the scoreless innings. He's so good at making people ground out. This is people from going from like I saw Jay was kind of proposing the whole Marcus Stroman and Drew Smiley keeping them thing, but the thing is we don't get Imanega whatever. We don't get Showtime if Stroman leaves. That doesn't happen, So I think that's so important. And how he is starting with the Cubs right now, he's starting really well. I love his energy. He's so excited to be in Chicago and playing. He's such a nice guy from what everyone has said. He's a good teammate. Definitely, he shouts out his his former teammates overseas. Then he gets a strikeout of Otani. I mean, I think he's lights out, and I definitely think he can get 10 wins for us. I think when all is said and done, as great as Wicks has been, and unfortunately with Steele's my favorite pitcher on the Cubs, obviously. And he'll be back. But I think Imanega Showtime could end up being the one with the most wins as a starter for the Cubs this season. So not only do I think he can get 10, I think he might lead the Cubs in wins this season.
Interesting. So you think by the time you come back in a couple of weeks, you think the Cubs will be in first place?
I do. I think it's only a matter of time. I've said it, and then maybe I'm, just being super optimistic about this season. This is the Cubs division to lose this year. I think the Cubs are playing really well right now. I think even before the year, yes, they could cool down, but they have good bats. They play very defensively sound. I think they have good starting pitcher. The question is going to be the bullpen, But if the Cubs are in the mix, the Cubs can go out there and make a move, get some bullpen help, at the break if they're in the mix of things. Last year we weren't sellers at the deadline. We decided to be buyers. I think the Cubs in the same position this year. You get Cody Bellinger back. You get, Showtime on this team now. You look at Horner's been a little cold, but Horner's also playing like a worldly gold glove, so it's hard to hate on Nico Horner when you're watching him play. I mean, he is money defensively. Ian Happ is off to the best start of his career. Christopher Morel is showing up in the biggest moments. Cubs are really, really setting themselves up to have a good season. It's early, but I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Well, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad everything's going well with your daughter and your family. We're excited to have you back. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks so much for your time, T.I.
Appreciate
this
you,
has
JB.
been Thanks, man. So this has been another edition of Cubfidential. Right now, Cubs are in San Diego live. If you're watching us, if you're watching the game right now, it's not looking pretty. They're down 7-2. If you're watching us live, you never know. We got some offense. We can make this a game. But we'll see you next week. We're not sure who's going to be here yet. We know Jay will be here. Probably Botkins, maybe T.I. Denzel will be in the background taking care of all the good stuff. But till next week, let's go Cubs.